It's getting frustrating, still being repeatedly rejected for jobs. Eventually I'll find one. But this one I'm basically going balls to the wall, just apply. But it is frustrating. Haven't got quite back to the point where I'm going to have to apply to another factory job at some point. But I'm still hoping I can find something else before I have to go back to doing something like that. Still glad I quit that one fucking place. I was going to die of a fucking heart attack at that place. And besides, that company has about another year before it's, bankrupt. So, heck, the electrostatic place back when I quit it, they literally did go bankrupt 6 months after I quit and bought by something else. And, well, the company that bought them is going to be going bankrupt soon too. I will say that's always the oddest thing about any time I had to put in my resume to places was explaining how like 80% of the places I've worked at no longer exist. And that was another thing with the job I was at most recently that I quit months back, is they were having financial problems, so they started saying, hey, we're going to have all the fans and air conditioning turned off to save money on electricity. And in order to improve our bottom line, we're going to increase the quotas over the already impossible numbers so we can, fix our bottom line and our profits, but we're not going to pay any of you anymore. And it's just... And aside from the job being outright impossible and the fact that the weird way I was moving, I was like, that's the weird thing. Like, I've injured myself repeatedly in trying to work out since then. But nothing compared to just how much my knees were just fucked up at that job just because I was having to move in weird ways or putting so much torque on my knees. Because it was really, really fast-paced manual labor, and it was bullshit. And here's the thing, I don't mind working. I don't mind working hard, but you give someone a job that's impossible, give someone a job that's breaking down their body to where they're in pain. I mean, I'd be sitting recording videos or laying in bed, and I would still be having constant chest pains. And my knees would be throbbing in pain laying in bed. And even with all the fucking bullshit I did, going, trying to run too much or lift too much weight at a gym, or going on a fucking 23-mile walk, let's be clear, at no point was my body or my chest as in much pain as it was when I was doing that fucking job. I was working third shift, usually 10 to 12 hours a day, and I'd be sitting in my car 3 o'clock in the morning in the middle of the dark, eating my lunch in my car alone, chugging down energy drinks to wash down caffeine pills and Advil and Tylenol on a candy bar. And every day at that place, I did everything I could to work 100%, if not 110%, to the point that it was breaking down my body. It wasn't even an issue of can I eventually work faster. It's an issue that even with continuing to drink energy drinks and all that shit, it was not sustainable. And granted, my family does have history of heart attacks, strokes, and aneurysms. My eldest sister died of a brain aneurysm about 14-ish years ago. And 7-ish years ago, my mom had 3 strokes and aneurysm. Thankfully, she didn't die. She was fully recovered within 5 months. Though about a month and a half or so after she had, those 3 strokes and aneurysm, I had to be hospitalized for 3 days in the ICU for... Basically, I'd got mono. Only STD I've ever caught. Turns out my wife was cheating on me back then, but I didn't quite know. It was a different person than the person that she divorced me for. Granted, it was... Thank God that marriage ended. I would have died. That was a fucking shitty-ass marriage. My marriage was hell. That being said, I still tried to save it. And who knows? Maybe part of just how I was raised to always try to make marriage work, or it's just literally I'm that much of a dumbass. I don't know. Or just the fact that I didn't want to lose my son. And I wanted to, okay, if he's already running that much trouble with me around to try to protect him, what's it going to be like if he's alone with his mother? Which, again, Didn't take long to figure that out, given how things started in the divorce, but like I said, he lives with his grandparents now on his mother's side. They take very, very good care of him. I pay the support to them. They love him as if he's their own son, and he's in the happiest, healthiest, best place for him in the whole world. And he knows his dad loves him and is proud of him. Granted, I still miss him every day, but I see him as much as I can. I talk to him as often as I can. But, of course, as a father, I'm still gonna, feel a little bit sad about that. I mean, heck, when he first, air quotes, moved out, I would spend, hours every day just sitting in his bedroom talking to his stuffed animals, which sounds, honestly, less of a mental illness thing when you take into account the fact that I'm normally a bit of a lonely person who talks to themselves all the time. I guess that's a really good fit for Let's Playing. I know some people say, well, why don't try to make the Let's Play channel monetized? The answer is no. I don't care. I don't care for the fact that I'm worrying about potentially whether or not paying rent in the future or not. I'm not monetized at the channel. Heck, I don't know why YouTube would ever fucking want to monetize me. I'm pretty sure any advertiser would want to stay the fuck away from me. And I don't, fault anybody who makes money off YouTube. I think that's awesome when people make money off YouTube. When people get super chats, I'm doing the fist pump thing you do at a rock concert for them. That's awesome and great for them, but that's not for me. I just want to be that crazy guy who's here because I just like playing video games and talking to my computer. It's a nice place for me to talk without a filter and just be myself. And yes, it sounds incredibly pathetic, and honestly, it's because it is. It's just, hey, what's your channel? I'm a lonely person who has not really many people to talk to, and so I share my enjoyment of video games, how I really enjoyed Let's Plays in the past, like Ultra J-Man playing I Want to Be the Guy, or this thing with Rom Scout where they did How to Be a Complete Bastard. Yes, it's an actual fucking video game. It's hilarious. More so their reactions to it, though. Then, of course, you got, Proton John with, Don't Eat the Mushroom, which kind of makes me think of Zen Trey with that one little scene in the car, but yeah, he did a whole lot of Mario ROM hacks way back before even the first Mario Wii or Mario Maker stuff. And heck, you could have freelance astronauts with the Let's Plays of Prototype, Mass Effect, the various Legend of Zelda games, Mario Wii, of course, a very hilarious one. Pepsi Man, the Worms matches are hilarious. It's just, I remember back then, most people didn't even know what a YouTube was. And most people that did hear about it thought that it would be gone in a couple years. I remember watching a lot of YouTube because at the end of the day, it made you feel less lonely, and it was very entertaining. It was fun watching people play Mario ROM hacks or do Let's Plays of video games. Back before people even knew what a YouTube was. And there were no ads on YouTube. There were no ads on YouTube! At all! And nobody was monetized, and nobody had merch. And again, I'm not knocking people that do that. I think it's awesome, and I definitely understand the need to make money in this in society to support yourself. As somebody who is getting a bit frustrated at being repeatedly rejected on my applications over and over, and I expected to have been working, months ago, I didn't expect to be unemployed this long after quitting my job. And just for clarity's sake, during this entire time, I have not gotten a single food stamp. So I've not gotten a single food stamp, I have not received any government assistance, and I have not collected a single unemployment check. I have been living entirely off of my fucking savings from all the fucking overtime that I work. Which works pretty well because the only things I spend money on is my rent, my child support, stuff like electricity and internet, food, Steam games, which I usually buy at a massive discount, or I try to play free games, or I go back to games I bought way back when. But usually any Steam game I have, I bought when it was 80% off. With the exception of, say, Deathmark, when it came out, because I bought it brand new, because I wanted to play that right, because I've been looking forward to that game, the Deathmark game. But for the most part, any game I play, it's usually free, or I bought it when it's 80 or 90% off. And even then, I feel like I have spent a good deal more on Steam games than I probably should have. But then again, I've been, it's 4 years? So it's been a bit of time with that, but again, most of the games I have are like free or like 50 cents. And a lot of other games I got, like I said, I usually get an 80 or 90% off. So like Splasher, I think at times it was like $15 and I bought it for like $2.50. So $2 and some odd cents. And heck, I've been using the same laptop for about 4 years, and heck, about a few months ago, I thought I was gonna have to like stop doing Let's Plays for like years or something, or hopefully not years, but it's just my laptop started making a super high pitched, super loud noise, and it did it for a couple days every time I tried to turn it on. And I was like, okay, it's basically going to explode. And even if it weren't going to explode, there's no way I could record a video like this, because no one's going to hear anything over this super loud noise that sounds like someone's like operating a fucking blender or something. But after a couple days it stopped, and I was able to resume, well, being my cringy self. And that's the thing, I'm sort of a really depressed person that's a failure at everything. But for what it's worth, coming from a person who is not athletic, not rich, is a complete fucking failure at everything I've tried in life, I want to encourage people to never stop trying, to never give up. Even if you're depressed, keep going. Even if you fail at fucking everything, keep going. Even if it feels like every time you try to do anything or go outside, only bad things come of it, and you feel like your whole life is worthless and you're a piece of shit, and every day of your life you feel like everyone in the world is telling you what a piece of garbage you are and how much you should just die. Even if that's the case, just know, you are important, you are special, you do fucking matter, okay? And whatever you gotta do, heck, I think it's very important to express yourself. As long as you're not hurting yourself or hurting anyone else, that's what matters most. But I think it's important for people to read books. Read lots of books. Read Edgar Allan Poe, Shakespeare, The Odyssey, Don Quixote. And of course, those are lots of the older books and poetry that's amazing. And I know it makes me sound really, really, really lame. But I like poetry. I like to sit and read poetry. Even the childish stuff like Where the Sidewalk Ends. I found that very enjoyable. Then again, I'll read magazines about Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon. I'll listen to music that's a soundtrack. I'll listen to... My music mix is like Korn, Rammstein, Pokemon soundtracks, Bruce Faulkner, and all sorts of... I knocked over my water. Thankfully, there was a lid on it. Yes, it's the same thermos that I had from earlier where I was drinking, I mixed Concord grape juice, orange juice, some water, and a bunch of ice. It was delicious. But yeah, I can definitely, like I said, I don't knock people for making money off YouTube. I think that's cool, and heck, there's some things that'd be cool to get merch instead of, and I can definitely understand it, because I am honestly feeling a bit worried, stressed, anxious, frustrated, at being rejected over and over and over again for fucking job applications. It shouldn't be this hard to get a fucking job in the economy that isn't me in a factory. And like I said, I'm still glad I quit that fucking job, because I was going to seriously tear something in my fucking knee or have a stroke or something. And like I said, a month and a half or so after my mom had 3 strokes and the aneurysm, I had swelling of the brain, swelling of the spinal cord, meningitis, encephalitis, mainly caused from getting mono. It wasn't the same person my ex-wife cheated on me with when she divorced me. Different person, and I didn't know about that affair until after we were officially divorced. But it kind of makes sense, because, otherwise, how did I catch the mono? But in my defense, I had swelling of the brain. And I was in the ICU for 3 days being pumped full of everything to keep me from dying. Heck, apparently my magnesium levels were very low. Apparently my body doesn't hold on to magnesium correctly. And of course, my body really has not been the same since that. It's like and of course spinal tap that I had then, oh, that sucks. Spinal taps suck. But since basically getting mono from another person that my ex-wife had cheated on me with gave me mono, and it's the first time I ever got exposed to it. And here's the thing. And the reason why didn't she have a reaction to it? Simple. If you've had mono before, you don't really react to it as much. And especially when you're younger. So she had caught it several times when, basically well over a decade before she pretty much even met me. So, yeah. you get... It's kind of like, think like what's it, chickenpox or something? That it's a lot better for you to get as a child, but if you get it as an adult, it's like life-threatening. So most people that get mono, because mono is, it's the only STD I've ever been exposed to. And 90 to 95% of the human population of America has it. It's known as the kissing disease. It's considered the most common thing for everyone to have, to the point that it's pretty much the base assumption is that everybody in the world fucking has it pretty much. With the exception of like 5 to 10% of the population. And I'm probably remembering that percentage or statistic wrong. But the main point is, most people have it, and most people got it back when they were like 13 or something. Heck, some people got it back when they were 8 years old. But that says more about fucking society or some shit. Main point being is this. I'd never been exposed to that before. By some miracle, I guess. Main point is I was older by that point. So my body freaked the fuck out. And I'm just saying, between the spinal tap, having a needle in your spinal column, the stress of a lot of things going on, as well as just swelling the brain, swelling the spine, meningitis, encephalitis, as well as... Yeah, I'm just straight up fucking fat at this point. I'm 5'11" and I'm 215 pounds. That was another thing. I was hoping, like, I remember the day I fucking quit, I posted a video of fucking Testament for 2003 Guilty Gear XX, and I was like, one day I'm wanting to cosplay as Testament, but I'm wanting a six-pack first. And I was hoping, like, I'd be able to come back with a video and be like, hey guys, look at my abs. And that did not work out. I'm still fat. I am 215 pounds. And 5 foot 11 inches, and I am that's kind of fat, and not nearly enough of that is muscle. But then again, I've made live stream videos. You guys can see how fucking fat I am, so I don't need to tell you how fucking skinny twigs for arms I have, or what a big fucking would say beer gut, but I don't drink alcohol. That being said, I'll tell you this. Honestly, I'm a bit frazzled about just feeling annoyed at being rejected for job after job after. So I'm just going to go to fucking Arby's after recording this video. So while it's uploading, I'm just going to go to Arby's and get some roast beef sandwiches and shit. Then again, I don't think I should be bothered too much by being rejected for job applications, because I remember way back in the past, like I would ask out lots and lots of women. Heck, even though I have no intention of ever being married again, or even living with someone, I still flirt and ask women out for some reason. Heck, there was one time I was at Applebee's a couple months back, and there was this cute waitress, and I started talking to her. We talked about anime and stuff. She was really into like Demon Slayer and a few other animes like Jujutsu Kaisen, Hunter x Hunter. I was wearing a Hunter x Hunter shirt at the time. I even posted about it in the community posts, but I posted like 1,000. I get carried away with typing long messages, and that where I had to cut those to make them fit. And also, well, let's be clear, I just got carried away with saying, hey, I want to say this, I want to say that, I want to say this, I want to share this video, hey, look, listen to this cool soundtrack. And yes, I get it. I'm a lonely, pathetic person that just wanted to talk to people. And I maybe got out of control on the community posts, just sharing, hey, look, it's a cute anime picture. Or hey, here's a gif of someone having their face rubbed in someone's titties. And it's like, that would be nice. Like, there's one, I think, it was like, just, the guy has his head in the girl's tits, and she's just petting his head and giving him head pats and rubbing his head. And I'm like, that'd be nice. Just, you know, basic fucking human affection. Then again, with the exception of my mother and my son, I don't even remember what a hug feels like. And I'm not really sure that's ever going to change. But I guess I can just be that horny, lonely person on the internet that annoys everybody. That talks about cringe shit. And I really can't blame it on head injuries. Honestly, here's the thing. I would still say I have a high IQ. I mean, I remember getting a Tesla. I was 12 and 13 years old, had 132. That being said, I've been dozen plus fevers, so 106 degrees Fahrenheit. I've been hit in the head so many fucking times with so many things. I've honestly probably been in like 1,000 fights, which usually consist of me versus a group of people. So it's just, hey, have fun with a half hour of getting the shit kicked out of you in the back alley or something, getting stomped in the head repeatedly and thrown into a brick wall and punched in the face hundreds and hundreds of times. It fucking sucks, by the way. You're like, everyone's like Lunar, that is like what, 24 years ago? I know. I'm 37 and I'm bitching about stuff from 24 fucking years ago. Are you doing math right? Let's think. 37, 20. I'm doing math. Okay. 17 years ago? I don't know. Says the person who was just saying they were smart and stuff. You can't do basic math. Just basic subtraction and addition of two-digit numbers. And you can't fucking do that. Heck, it was like the same game had some sort of like little math test about geometry. And I couldn't fucking... Just like, what even fucking geometry? It's not like we're doing fucking algorithms and shit. It was just like, hey, look at these pictures of a triangle of different colors. Which one's the right one from a different angle? And I'm like, And it's like the fact there's time limit. I don't like a time limit. It's so fucking stressful. But the thing is this. I was working throughout high school. I had a job throughout all my years of high school. I even did side jobs on that. I usually worked 37 hours a week at a fast food place, and I did side jobs. I chopped wood, I did maintenance stuff, I helped people move, I even did babysitting. And beyond that, I mean, I was in Boy Scouts, I got Eagle Scout, and that, I know that's silly. I get so easily lost, I have no sense of direction. And yet I'm an Eagle Scout. Heck, the first time I really started driving back when I was 18, I got so fucking lost, I wound up 180 miles from home. There are 88 counties in Ohio. I drove through 33 of them at least, if not more. Okay? At my furthest point, there were times I was stopping at random people's farmhouses, and they didn't even know where the capital of our state was from us. I decided, okay, where's the closest city? So I can figure out where the fuck I am. And this is really before GPS really was a thing. I need the damn clairvoyance spell from Skyrim at all waking moments of fucking life. But yeah, eventually I was like, first one I was like 180 miles from home. And the cops pulled me over. They thought I was a weapons dealer. They thought I was a drug dealer. They searched my car and they found some 2 liters of Dr. Pepper and some volcano burritos from Taco Bell. One of the cops also had a lazy eye, so that was kind of awkward. But yeah. But it's kind of funny, like I've been hit in the head so many fucking times. I've been poisoned, food poisoning, other poisons. I've gotten sick multiple times. I literally have passed out from dehydration before. I've been in like several car accidents. I mean, heck, I think back when I was like 12, we were in a tiny little blue truck. Me, my dad, and my mom. Technically my stepdad, but I consider him my dad. My mom was in the middle seat. And when we hit some ice, went into some oncoming traffic, and this big vehicle came right in the passenger side, right into me, and my mom leaned over me to protect me. So, my mom saved me there, and I really appreciate that. My mom, and well as modern medicine, has saved me quite a few times. Heck, back when I was 13 years old, I had Bell's palsy. For 2 weeks, so for 2 fucking weeks, I looked like I had a fucking stroke. Half my face was paralyzed. I had to fucking tape one of my eyeballs shut at night so I wouldn't go blind. I would drool over myself when I would be brushing my teeth because I couldn't close my mouth right. And even still during then, I got bullied the fucking shit out of by fucking everybody. Had people fucking just like punching me, throwing shit at me, spitting on me. It's not like, oh, you had a couple people bully you. No, it was like 100 people constantly telling me to go fucking kill myself. And like running up behind me and drop kicking me in the back of my legs, or getting jumped by 5 fucking people, or a dude trying to fucking stab me, or a person fucking trying to cut my arms off, or try to gouge my eyeballs out, or come up behind me with a fucking rope and try to strangle my fucking ass. That happened multiple fucking times. And at the end of the day, my reaction to that was I felt really sad because everybody watching that was enjoying that and wanted to see that. And it's like, great, everybody fucking hates me. Heck, during the time I had Bell's palsy. And yeah, like I said, I try to live my life as a pacifist. Heck, in general, the people eventually stopped fucking with me because they started worrying I was going to Columbine the fucking school. But I'll tell you this, I'm not that kind of person. I would never want to try to hurt anybody. If I'm ever going to hurt anybody, it's going to be because I'm backed into a fucking corner and feel like I have no choice. In general, I live my life as a pacifist. I have only ever hurt anybody in self-defense or defense of another. And I'll tell you this, even with those exceptions, I have never hit a woman under any circumstance. Honestly, I hope that never changes. But then again, I hope that there's no negative situations to ever occur that would potentially force that to change. Because I've been one, like I said, in general, my marriage was fucking hell. Like, here's the thing, I considered myself absolutely 100% straight until about a couple years after my divorce. But in general, my marriage was so fucking bad, I never want to go through that again. Beyond that, it's also been a journey of me basically understanding myself better and, well, learning more things about myself and how I feel and think about things and what I actually like in a person. When it's all said and done, I think my actual preferred sexual preference is futanari. That being said, I'm also very socially withdrawn and don't really meet people very much. I mean, heck, I played a fucking VR game about, like, the VR chat. I played a little bit of that before I had to have that bladder surgery. And I'll tell you this, when I had the bladder surgery, you know, I basically spent 3 days in my bed. I mean, I got up, walked a bit here and there, but it was horrible. Especially multiple things I don't want to get in detail with because I don't want to gross everyone out. But I'm just saying, it was a miserable experience. But my mom spent 3 days and 3 nights over here with me, and I really appreciated it. I enjoyed spending time with my mom. Granted, I have certain grievances with my parents and disagreements with them, and especially certain things in my early childhood where I'm kind of still a little bit pissed and irritated toward them. But when it's all said and done, I love and I respect my parents. Most of all, I love my mother very much. So I hope my mom never dies. If she ever does, I'll miss her very much. And like I said, she's not perfect, but I never would trade my mom for anyone in the whole world. You know, I wouldn't trade my mother for any other mother in the whole world. And like I said, I love my mom very, very much. And I appreciate, like I said, the thing where I was 13, well, no, 12. Well, I really need like a floating, like small, you know, like Tinkerbell from Peter Pan. We have a whiteboard to like give me reminders of what the fuck I'm talking about, because I'm having trouble staying on one topic. But like when I was 12, like my mom leaned over me and she protected me from that. And she wound up getting a giant scar on her forehead. I could see her skull. I could see the white of the bone of her skull on her forehead. Like, on the one hand, I'm glad that she protected me, and obviously if she hadn't done that, I'd probably be dead. On the other hand, I felt very sad and a bit scared seeing my mother's skull. I was kind of worried she was gonna die. Then again, she was also probably worried about me too, obviously, but it's just, I'm just saying, the experience was a little... And I really do appreciate it, though me and my mom sometimes do use dark humor jokes with each other. And sometimes I think both of us take that a little too far. But, yeah. It's just... Because, I mean, we've made dark humor jokes about that incident, too. Years after the fact. But even then, it's still... I think it's a defense mechanism that both of us do. To just try to cope with things that are a bit stressful. It's like, oh, you're stressed? Let's make a very dark, inappropriate joke. Then again, what have I said before? I'm the most offensive person on the internet. If you're not offended by me in some way, you haven't known me well enough. Because, and here's the thing, I'm not going to change my views on things. I have my opinions, I have my views on things. And, heck, if anything, this past few years, especially these past few months, have given me time to really give in-depth thought about how I feel about things. Now, I'll say this. There's people of every political category out there who would disagree with how I think about things and how I see the world. And that's fine. But I'm not going to change how I view on them. Granted, I'm open-minded and I'll listen to what people have to say. But I have my beliefs. And I'm very firm and very strong in what I believe and why. So, granted, it's very difficult and complicated to explain my beliefs, as can be exampled by the numerous community posts where I've literally done like 20,000 word essays where I literally have to cut and paste it multiple times into the comments to make what I typed fit. Because I'm pretty sure the developers of YouTube never intended someone like me to exist. Someone who wants to just type something for hours. It's like, you did not expect someone to have an obsessive and addictive personality to be on your site, now did you? But yeah, like my mom spent 3 days and 3 nights with me, and this is like, what? Back in October, so like 9 months ago or something, 10 months ago? I don't feel like trying to count how many months back, but you get the point. It's July now. It's July, and it was the most recent October in the past. So less than a year. When I had a fucking bladder. That was another thing. I used my vacation days. I didn't use medical leave. I used my vacation days to have some time off that job to recover from that fucking bladder surgery. And I get back from the bladder surgery, it's right straight back to, oh, you need to work all this overtime and go. And I'm like, I literally got back from surgery. And heck, they were still bitching at me if I said I needed to go to the bathroom. Like, you're telling me I'm working for hours, I'm not allowed to go pee. I literally had bladder surgery, and you're telling me I'm not allowed to go pee. It's like, fuck you. But at the end of the day, it's like, I still worked through that for a while, and just eventually, it's just like, they just kept increasing the quotas. And it's like, I don't mind working hard. I've worked very hard. Perhaps more than I should have. Like, there were times people still accuse me of being lazy, but I'm like, when I worked the electrostatic job, I was working like 70 hours a week. And I was breathing and ingested powder metal, powder paint. I was forced to eat my own vomit because I wasn't allowed to get off the line to go do anything. So every 20 minutes, because we weren't using proper ventilation, I was using a fucking dust mask. Went to like a dozen of those a day because they were all constantly getting clogged so much that you couldn't get air through them anymore. That being said, I would be vomiting in my own mouth as I worked because of the chemicals. And I couldn't get off the line to stop working to go vomit up in a trash can. So I literally would just have to vomit at my own mouth, have my cheeks puffed out like a fucking chipmunk, full of fucking puke and vomit acid, and then swallow my own vomit over and over again. And it's like, I've worked numerous jobs. I've worked jobs where I worked in -6 Fahrenheit freezers for hours to the point I couldn't feel my fucking hands. I've worked hard. I've worked very restrictive clothing. And honestly, between the chemicals and all that stuff, I'm pretty sure that's had a negative effect on, probably my vascular system, as well as other parts of my body throughout my body. But I will say this. Since the thing where my ex-wife cheated on me with that other person gave me fucking mono and put me in the fucking ICU for 3 fucking days, to where I was pumped full of chemicals to keep me from dying, where I had swelling of the brain, and my body was pretty much trying to die. Yeah, between the swelling of the brain, swelling of the spine, fucking spinal tap, and the other shit going on back then, including additional car accidents, well, my body has really not been properly the same. And here's the thing, I was 180 pounds at that time. I was 180 pounds. I am 215 pounds. I think at one point when I was working, I got up to 230, just because I was constantly working overtime, and I was just shoving my face full of every kind of junk food just to deal with the stress of that fucking place. Though I was hoping I would have, built muscle or lost fat during these few months since I quit that place. But I'm still basically the same physique as before. My arms are still fucking twigs. My stomach is still a fucking fat ass. I don't have an ass. It's like my pants are getting looser, but I'm getting fatter. I guess the only parts of my body that are getting smaller are my fucking biceps, my ass, and my dick. Because that's everything. Like, I have gotten, and granted, maybe it's because I have the fucking stomach too, but in general, yes, my dick is smaller than what it used to be. I remember being as a teenager, it was like 7 inches long. I was like, what, 18 centimeters long? Now it's 14. It's like, and heck, if I'm sitting, then it's like part of it goes back in me a little bit as I sit down. And of course, like I said, maybe it's an issue of just maybe the vascular system within the body, less blood flows getting to a place. So it's just between that and my testosterone level, just basically from the time I went to that ICU and for having swelling of the brain, it might have been that did it or something else, but testosterone level just basically started just falling off the fucking cliff after that happened. So maybe just the part of my fucking brain that's supposed to tell my body, you know, be a fucking man, just doesn't work right anymore. I don't know. Between all the fucking concussions, blows to the head, and all this shit, who fucking knows anymore? But yeah, in general, I don't feel my body. And like I said, I was 180 pounds back then. And that was like, what, 7-ish years ago? 8-ish? I don't fucking know anymore. But, yeah. And like I said, I didn't even know about that till after the divorce. And I'll tell you this, I still tried to save my marriage. I still tried to fix it. I've already explained that in detail in the past. But at the same time, I was like, I knew how things would go in just a straight up normal divorce, and I didn't want to lose my child. And then, basically, my son lives with his grandparents because in the very short term within divorce, like within 1 week of being divorced, we had to basically, you know, her parents had a lawyer for us to sign my son to go live with them. And I was perfectly willing to sign that because my ex-wife proved that he was not going to be safe. And besides, there's how many men out there who have had their children in divorce in which, even with their wives being better than what my ex-wife was, who will completely alienate their, you know, their children from their fathers. So at least my son is safe and happy where he is. His grandparents take very good care of him. They love him very much. He's happy where he is. And I still get to see and talk to him. I still get to be a part of his life. And he still knows that his father loves him and is proud of him, and that he can always talk to me if he ever wants to come see me. Granted, yes, I would like to see and talk to him more. But that's a bit of selfishness on my part. And I think that's a normal kind of selfishness for anyone who is a good parent, that, you know, you love your child. And like I said, I love my child very much. I love my son very much. And I'm so very, very thankful to the Lord that I was able to have my son. But my marriage was fucking hell. And here's the thing. I really thought that marriage would go well. When I married the person, I married them because I loved them and I trusted them. And we had some happy memories at the start, after all. Most abusive relationships don't start off that way. And they aren't that way 90 all the time, but yeah. It was just such a horrible experience, especially the last couple years of that. To the point that I'm pretty much traumatized against having a relationship with anyone with a vagina. And again, I don't hate women. I still talk to plenty of women. It's just between the fact that I've had such a horrible experience that I never want to go through something like that ever again. Also, yes, let's just straight up, there's a shortage of any women that would actually want to be with me. But also, yeah, because I mean, I'm still asking women. I got that one girl at the Applebee's. And it was, like I said, I was really enjoyed that. And she was flattered I asked her out. But then she was like, oh, I'm married. And, you know, she has a wife. She's a lesbian and she has a wife. But, okay, cool. And I talked to her in 10 minutes and told her some more anime suggestions for her and her wife to watch. But it's just, yeah, I'm still asking women out. Though you think I would be not bothered by the whole being rejected by job employers thing? Because after all, if I were to count all the people I've been rejected by in terms of relationships and asking women out over the course of my entire lifetime, even if we were to completely ignore all numbers from, you know, dating apps, and bear in mind that I don't really ask out nearly as many people as I did in the past, I was easily rejected by over 9,000 women. So I at least easily asked out in person over 9,000 women that all were like, nope, don't like you. Then again, I doubt that any of the people I was ever in a relationship with ever actually found me attractive. Several of them were very open at the breakup about their ulterior motives for being with me, including my ex-wife, who literally was straightforward saying that she had never found me attractive, and that she literally only married me because she wanted me to pay the bills. She literally said that word for word. But then again, well, people can say, oh, she's just saying that to be hurtful, but at that point, does that make that any better? And also, I guess the other thing is me, in terms of being more openly bisexual with myself and understanding how I feel about that, is just the fact that I had a very religious upbringing, and, well, honestly, still not sure about being open about that, because, one, still anxious about humanity and dating. Also, I've just been alone for such a long period of time, I've just sort of gotten used to it. I feel like I'd be very nervous if I was ever in, the situation of actually having, human contact in a safe environment. But, yeah, I've just gotten used to it. I've just been for such a long time. Then again, most of my life was being alone. I spent even counting before I was married, I spent a vast amount more time being alone than I was with somebody. I mean, heck, here I am playing a dating sim game. And it's pretty much the closest thing I have to a relationship. And honestly, it's more emotionally healthy than most relationships. So I'll tell you this, my marriage was the least emotionally healthy relationship I ever had, and it was fucking hell. I will tell you this, my second longest relationship, which was 6 months, which was with a girl that was going to eventually marry, which was about a couple or so years before my ex-wife. That was actually the most healthy relationship I ever had, but that still went to shit, so. At the end of the day, though, I'm still glad for all the relationships I've had and how things, but just, I've had a lot of bad experiences. And it's just, yeah, no thank you. I don't want to go through that anymore. That shit hurts too much, and it's, even then, I really don't have the options anyway. But, yeah, like I said, raised very religious, and eventually, but like I said, I'd still consider myself 100% heterosexual until a couple years after my divorce, and then I started thinking about that more and accepting more about how I feel about things. Just, yeah, I was kind of raised very religious to be not that way, and it's taken me some time to really just try to understand how I feel about things, and, what I like, what I want, and that's the thing. Other people say they, take time to think about what they want. They're, traveling the world. Me, it's just me pacing my living room, talking to myself, or sitting playing a video game. But then again, that was what, a couple years after the divorce, so it still would have been about a year and a half before I even started this channel that I came to. So it was about a year and a half before I started the channel. I think I started to accept the idea that I'm bisexual. It took a lot of thinking about for me to just understand how I feel about things and what I actually want. But yeah, I've never hit a woman. I remember when I was 13, I had the Bell's palsy. I was like 160 back then, or 150 or something pounds. And like I said, I've only ever hurt anybody in self-defense or defense of another. But yeah, there was a woman who was like 400 fucking pounds. Fucking came up to me just like fucking, this is back when I had the fucking Bell's palsy. Fucking poked me in the eyeball with her fingers. Spit on me, punched me a few times, kicked me in the nuts. And literally there's 100+ people standing around us watching this. And I look around at the people watching this and everyone's just fucking laughing at me or smiling or being quiet about it. And it's like, great. Nice reinforcement that everyone in the world fucking hates me. It's like I literally look like I'm a fucking stroke victim. And that's the other thing. If I had not quit my fucking job, I mean, I was taking about 1,000 milligrams of caffeine a day. And it still wasn't enough to hit the fucking impossible quotas they wanted. I was doing my best. I was working as hard as I possibly could. And it's just, but it's kind of funny. It's like, the car accidents are sort of like a bookend when it comes to relationship when it came to my ex-wife, as well as head injuries. I mean, heck, the thing where, because like I said, it was about a month and a half after my mom had the 3-stroke aneurysm, I had the swelling of the brain issue, and then it was what, let's see, I'd say about 5 or 6 months after that. I'd say 4 months, 5 months. Say about 5 months after the swelling of the brain thing happened. You know, we had the Christmas thing, so it was either 4 or 5 or 6. And basically my wife got pissed off that our 2-year-old son was playing with his Christmas presents. So she started screaming, yelling, cussing, breaking his toys with her hands, taking his toys and just slamming them into the wall as hard as possible, kicking some of his toys hard enough that it broke his toys. Then, of course, our 2-year-old's obviously fucking crying. Starts walking toward his mother. I step in between them and say, hey, please stop. And she attacks me. I still have a 3-inch scar on my right arm to remember that last Christmas being married by. The funny thing is this, I still tried to make that marriage work. Because I knew in the divorce I'd, wind up not being the one with my child, and, well, under those circumstances, and of course there were multiple other things that occurred, many of which I talked about in community posts that explained, very clearly he would not have survived. Then again, neither of us would. Had I actually succeeded in saving my marriage, we would have stayed together long enough to have another child, and then my wife would have probably murdered me and our 2 children. So, then again, people can say that just paranoia on my part, or just stress or trauma, or whatever. Main point is, my marriage went horrible. It went horrible, and I really hated it. I don't want to go through something like that ever again. But I'll tell you this. It was about, what? About 3 months? It was about a couple months or so after that scar that she was really more so cheating, and a couple months after that I really knew about stuff, but I would say officially when she was actually sleeping with that other person, it's about like 5 months after the scar, and then about 2 months or so later we were like divorced or something. And she was in such a rush to get divorced because she was wanting to marry that other dude. The funny thing is this, a week after we were officially divorced, we had to sign the paper for our son to live with her parents. Then a week after that, the dude she left me for ditched her, didn't want anything to do with her. Then a week after that, she was literally begging and groveling, even came to my fucking job, and was literally begging me not to just take her back, but was begging me to remarry her. My ex-wife was begging me. She was actually physically getting on her knees in public, begging me to, remarry her. She was begging me not just to date her or to take her out again or something like that. She was literally begging me to remarry her. But, fucking crazy ass shit. And like I said, it's... and it's funny. I know that it was a little less than 2 years before the Christmas thing with the scar, but I was working at the electrostatic place at that point, and I was working like 70 hours a week, and basically my wife created a situation for me to be in a car accident, and she wasn't in the car, but she created a scenario to basically force that to happen. And here's the thing, at that time I didn't even blame her for it. But the thing is this, I based it on a situation that she caused that almost killed me, and she didn't even care if I lived or died. She was just concerned about, like, okay, what happened to the car? How is she going to get places? How is the rent going to get paid? How is this going to happen? Basically, and of course, at that point, I had a marriage, and I was trying to work on things, and, I kept blaming myself for everything. But it's just, I'm just glad my son's in a safe place, he's happy, and he's honestly in the best place in the world for him. And I can still be a part of his life. But it's kind of funny, though, the way me and my ex-wife first got together anyway. I remember she first got my phone number. When she first got my phone number, she stole it out of her cousin's phone. So my first reaction to, a response to her was, "Who is this and how did you get my number?" Then over a year later, I got hit by a fucking truck. I got fucking izakai'd. But it didn't stick. I had a full-size pickup truck going 75 miles an hour slam into my driver's side. I think I was the only person in that car at the time. And at that point, I had basically given up all hope on ever having a wife or children. I had wanted, a child and have a family for such a long time, and I'd let alone just have a happy relationship, and I had just given up on the idea of a family completely. It was like, okay, that's impossible, it can never happen. And I got hit by a fucking truck. It fucking hurt, by the way. And so basically I have a near-death experience where I should have basically been izakai'd for what fucking happened. And yes, I know as pathetic as I was, that other woman I was telling you about that I'd been with for 6 months, that was the healthiest relationship I was in. I was actually kind of hoping that person would actually reach out to me and be like, want to talk to me or some shit. Didn't happen, but just being honest, I was thinking about that. But anyway, as I'm laying in bed on Vicodin, all my ribs are bruised, as bruised as they can be without being broken. I can't move my left arm. The left side of my skull has 12+ staples in it. It takes me a minute to go from laying down to sitting up. And from the waist to my toes, I'm covered in black and purple bruises that have the texture where you feel the bruise, it feels like a fucking basketball. I'm laying in bed and I get a call from, my eventual to-be ex-wife telling me that she heard what happened, that she's glad I didn't die, and that she loves me and cares about me, and that she wants to marry me and eventually have my children. And that was an interesting conversation. Though it's also interesting that she even admitted during the divorce that before she even made that phone call, she was already talking to my exes long before then, asking them about me and asking questions about me and all that shit. It was odd that apparently the best way to my exes describe me was easily manipulated and naive and overly trusting. It's like, great. But then again, I would say I've learned my lesson since then. I will say this, it was still the right call for me to marry that person, because given the way things were in society and just around me, given the fact just my luck at shit, had I not married my ex-wife, I never would have been married, and I never would have had a child. So, and I'm very, very grateful, very thankful for my son. And I really did do everything I could to be the best father I could in the world. I also tried to do everything I could to be the best husband I could be in the world. Heck, until the whole issue with the open adultery was occurring in the last few months of my marriage, I was still having sex with her just about every single day, with the exception of for a couple days after the whole 3-inch scar, because I was kind of, not happy about that. A bit upset. Aside from that, things like when I had high fevers, or ICU, or the month after she, delivered, because she had a episiotomy, where that's where you take a fucking pair of scissors to the bottom of a woman's vagina. And it's just, holy shit. Or the top, whatever. But my main point is, I watched that happen, and that was, I watched my son be born, and I took 2 weeks off that job back then, took care of my wife and my child. I still say the day my son was born was the happiest day of my life. But it's just, my marriage was horrible. It was absolute fucking shit. I don't know why we got on a topic about shit. I don't know. We didn't get around playing the game. It was supposed to be a short intro about me bitching about finding work. And like I said, I'm still glad I quit the fucking job at Skynet. It's just, they were treating people like shit. And here's the thing, they're having financial issues. Heck, I literally got a thing in the mail a few weeks back. They're being sued and they're just going right into settlement without even taking to court, saying that they weren't paying people correctly, which I already knew that to a degree. That's another reason I wound up quitting, because they were just fucking people over on some things or pay. So at that point, I was like, fuck you. That was one of the final straws. But really, the main final straw was that I was so fucking miserable. I was so miserable at that job, and I was in constant pain, and I was literally at my job chugging energy drinks, taking Advil, working my absolute hardest to do the job, and I was in pain. My chest was in constant pain. I was having constant migraines. Occasionally, my teeth in the back of my mouth were getting infected. I still need to have a few more teeth removed. I have like 6 teeth. All my front teeth are still there. It's just Again, the job with electrostatic. Repeatedly having to swallow your own vomit has, acid and stomach acid, so not good for your teeth. But main point is just between the electrostatic stuff and the fucking spinal tap, meningitis and stuff like this, swallowing the brain and swallowing the spine. Yeah, my health in general did not exactly... my health did not improve from that. My health seems to have been in steady decline since then. My testosterone has been shit. I took testosterone gel for about... Had something on my tongue. Took testosterone gel for about a year. My last year working at Skynet, working that factory job I was most recently at. That was it for years and years and years. But it's just... oh my god. It's just between testosterone... and like I said, in general, yeah, I understand aging, but I'll say the size and just functionality, it's not working the best as it used to. Don't get me wrong, my dick still gets hard. There's still times I'll play fucking games. I even mentioned, like, hey, yeah, my dick's hard. Playing a hentai game, or at least close as I can get to it on YouTube. But in general, it's not nearly what it was when I was younger, in terms of... but, I don't know. Like I said, I understand aging's a thing, but I feel like it's a little bit... I'm not that old yet. But who knows, like I said. And like I said, I don't have the testosterone gel anymore. I just had it for that last year I was at that factory. And of course, when I quit that, I didn't have medical insurance anymore, so... I don't know if I'll have to go back on that. I don't know if I should go back on that whenever I get medical insurance again. Heck, I was taking inhalers, too. But I think I mainly needed it because I was having trouble breathing because of my job, because of the way it was working me. It's just... and I'll tell you this, yes, I've injured myself multiple times. I gave myself fucking hamstring tendinitis trying to jog. At one point I was trying to like sprint way too hard. Here recently, about a week ago, I found a more comfortable way of doing it, where what I'll do is this. It's 7 miles total on the bike trail. I really like going on the bike trail. It'd be nice if there were cherry blossom trees out there. But, yeah, I pushed it way too hard. But I'll tell you this. Any of the injuries I've given myself trying to work out is nothing compared to the constant pain I was in from the job I was doing. I would be laying in bed and my knees would be literally throbbing. I would be laying in bed and feel like I was having a fucking heart attack. But that being said, yeah, I've pushed myself quite a bit too much on a lot of the stuff on the bike trail in the gyms. I'm still trying, and honestly though, if you took one look at me, you would assume I'd never been to the gym in my life. You would assume I'd never lifted in my life. My biceps are fucking twigs. My stomach is a giant fucking thing. I feel like my dick and my ass are getting smaller as well. And my cardio is getting worse. But as far as the bike trail thing, what I think works best that I found is I'm doing... now, granted, originally I was going to say I was going to do every day, but I'm also having to do it every other day. Every day turns out to be way too much. But I think every other day seems like it's going to work out sustainably for the future. That way I can just like do all the stuff at the gym and the workouts at home with the dumbbells on one day, and the other day do the bike trail. And I can just like do a workout A, workout B, and just sort of switch it back. Like, after all, some people do like arm days, leg days, and stuff like that. So I think that might be the best way to do it. But as far as what I think is a good way to do it is every other day do a 7 miles total thing on a bike trail. And the way I'm doing that is I'm doing a 1/8 mile walk, a 1/4 mile run, a 3/8 mile walk, a 1/4 mile run, a 4 mile walk, a 1 mile jog, and then a 1 mile walk. So that factors out to being 7 miles total on the bike trail. So that'd be like one day, and then the other day, the workout B would be at home doing a bunch of push-ups, doing my dumbbell workouts, doing the other types of abdominal exercises, as well as going to the gym. And I think the main things I'm really focusing on is an assisted dip machine for chin-ups and push-ups, pull-ups, but I'm doing more heavy, high sets, high reps, but lower weights, and doing a lot of the squat rack, as well as just stuff with the hamstrings and leg extenders, as well as abductors and various chest exercises and things with your deltoids and your backs. Well, I should end the video.